Good. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a way of respecting, honoring, and creating awareness about our past, we begin our village board meetings by acknowledging that we focus on the ancestral land of the Munsee Swifters and Montana people. Please keep joining us in finding new ways to support Indigenous communities. There's a list on all of our agendas. Let's keep growing it.
And I'm working on updating that. When we get it done today.
Okay, the only thing that I'm gonna change to this business agenda is we're gonna talk with our representatives from County Waste, Dan and Jennifer here. Put you guys up first.
Okay.
So we'll make that the first item under the business agenda. I move to accept the business agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any other announcements from my colleagues?
Yeah, so tomorrow night is our name change workshop in this very room. At 7 p.m. asking that folks, try to sign up in advance, so I can make sure we have the materials ready. We had a lot of signups today, so I'll do that tomorrow, but 7 p.m. tomorrow, name change workshop. Since it is getting such an overwhelmingly positive response is something that people in the community really need. I have a feeling it won't be the last. So you can head over to our website or any of my socials to find the sign up link, or email me, or honestly, you can just show up, and if I don't have enough stuff printed for you, I'll get it done after the fact. Also just a reminder, our food fridge is right outside Village Hall, 25 Practical Act. No one should ever go hungry. It's always like every single day in dire need of more food. So, as you go about your days, if you ever package up leftovers for yourself when you're going out, consider doing the same and labeling it with, what's in it, and dropping it off at the free food fridge, so we can keep it flowing.
And I'm gonna give my reminder that I'll do about Family of New Paltz. If you wanna help your neighbors, if you can make any kind of donation to Family of New Paltz, monetary is always great. They help people pay bills and do all kinds of things. You can also donate food and clothing that is in good condition, like you would wanna wear it. And it's appropriate for the weather that we are dealing with right now. You can donate that to Family of New Paltz as well, and they're here for you if you need help.
Great, and our county legislator, we received an update at the last meeting.
Yeah.
So we'll hear back from Limon at the next meeting in March. Do we have anyone from the public interested in making a comment? You don't have to, I'm just offering.
Yeah, come on up. Come on. This way,
Yeah, you can grab a chair,
Yeah,
I'll just
we'll go around.
state your name.
My name is Christopher Muslier. I'm a high school student. And I came here because I'm having an event on March 8th. Originally it was supposed to be the release of my book's limited edition cover. But there was a deal that went through and I'm currently releasing the copyright of the book. So I kind of wanted to come here and invite everybody because I think it's gonna be a very great event where we get to open conversations about equality and advancement in the community in many ways. So I think it's a really great opportunity for the community to get involved in that and moving forward.
so it's Saturday, March 8th, LT Library, what time again?
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there.
Yes.
I'll see if I can be there, I'll try.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
You spelled your last name. Oh, Muslier.
I got it, that's awesome.
So if you're interested in making a public comment on any topic, you're welcome. I don't know if you are just here to observe or
Just closer.
Okay, welcome.
So then we can flow right into our business agenda. So we have our representatives from County Waste with us. Really appreciate you guys coming. Dan and Jennifer, you want to come sit at the table with us? And we can chat about our. So just to review with our community, we have a single hauler contract with County Waste. We represent the village of New Paltz. There's also a town board in New Paltz. And our single hauler agreement is town-wide, so it includes the village as well as the town outside the village. But really appreciate it, that you guys are here. We've brainstormed previously, or not brainstormed, but just got like a check-in with Ryan. He was our representative, and then Chris, you know, I think. The more often we just have like a regular check-in, the more valuable it is, you know, because we get, you know, feedback from our community. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative, and
Right.
you know, I think largely, you know, when we bring stuff to your attention, you guys are able to address it, and we're super appreciative of that, you know, because, you know, sometimes pickups get missed, sometimes, you know, drivers are there before 7 AM. But you know, I feel pretty comfortable that largely when we ask for, you know, something to be corrected, that you guys are pretty responsive. And, you know, I think what's interesting is that our community will sometimes become frustrated that they don't have the right to choose their own hauler because of our local law. But I think the benefits are really very significant, and that the idea is that we want to have fewer trucks on the road, less congestion, less traffic, less emissions. And then also that communication piece where when, you know, incidents occur, there's you know, direct line of communication with the local government and the hauler. So that's kind of like my description for, you know, anyone who's like watching from home, as well as our, you know, folks here at Village Hall tonight. But the floor is yours if you wanted to, you know, share anything with us, any updates and data.
So the main thing while we're here, what we wanted to discuss is we're getting 2 new trucks. So there's gonna actually be new trucks. But one of the issues that we were having was there was glass on the roadway. We welded the holes that was in the trucks, and it sufficed. We haven't had any complaints since about November, the end of November. But there will be a new truck on the road about April, May. Yeah, I think the end of April, the 1st of May. And we have 2 different locations. So we have Cairo and we have Montgomery. So we do half and then they do half. So the issue was their driver was actually starting before the 7 AM. I know we've had a lot of emails back and forth. I've spoken with their manager. What we decided to do is our site is actually going to take over the whole entire New Paltz. So it'll be.
Because they were doing, because we're primarily talking about our single hauler contract with you.
Yes,
But what you're bringing up is the fact that you also serve the commercial properties and dumpsters that are completely separate. So
Correct.
that's where,
Yes.
you know, maybe there were miscommunications.
yes.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna take the whole entire New Paltz area over and we know the rules.
Right, so your team is familiar with
Yes.
the rules because you know our same, that's great news. So what do you do with the old truck where the bin was failing and then like the broken glass was falling out?
Same question.
Yes. So it actually gets recycled for scrap metal.
Mhm.
So they take it apart and put some parts places and some parts other places, just depending on what type of metal. Like the motor you can't really scrap a motor, so it goes to a different place because there's fluids in it, so.
Do you know, so when we buy new trucks, you know, they're like $300,000 and. You know, they're generally diesel engines, but
Yes.
they're spec'd to meet California emission
Yes.
standards.
So ours is around $518,000. And they not only meet California, but also Canada, because our company actually has 4 different provinces in Canada as well, so we have to meet everything.
Right. And it'll be the same split body design.
Yes,
Right. So that's, historically been tricky sometimes where people are like,
Mhm.
the bins are going into the same truck.
correct.
And there have been a couple of instances where it seems like, trash or recycling could get commingled. But, that's not the way the truck is supposed to operate, right? That's not
Yes,
the-
yeah, the slack goes back and forth. And that's what we'd like to do once we get this new truck, is to actually bring it on a Saturday. And if you guys are having an event, or if we can do like a touch a truck and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just let everyone see how the truck actually operates.
And that's a weekend schedule works better.
Yeah.
You're thinking. great.
Well, and with the community as well, I think
We
it's.
can offer
Yeah.
the opportunity for the community.
I know my things were picked up together by mistake a couple times, because I didn't realize how far apart they needed to be, so I wanna state that for our neighbors also, that ideally like 5 feet apart is what you guys like, right?
Yes.
So that they don't go into the same bin, they can go into separate, they can make that separate,
Yes.
it's scooped up together.
And also the opening should face street side.
Right.
Yes,
Because sometimes people will put it so the opening faces sidewalk
Right.
or property side.
yeah, when they pick it up, if the handle is towards the road and they pick it up. When they lower it, the trash that has sat on the lid is what actually is out.
Um. How about, because I believe, in terms of like, sometimes things happen unintendedly. I feel like sometimes the truck has continued down the road and then the flap is not completely covered, and then like if there's like a plastic bag, you can blow out.
So
How do
we-
you address that?
Yeah, so we have had instances, but you have a flap that goes back and forth, and then you have what's called a packer blade that comes out and actually covers it so nothing does fly out. If it's really windy outside as he's dumping it and it goes on top of the truck and he drives, he's not gonna be able to see that, but he does see what's in the hopper. The truck is equipped with 5 different cameras in 5 different locations. And it has the geo tab, which I think I've sent you guys
Yeah.
emails of the location, the time, the date, yeah. So,
What do you do when you arrive and the bins, there's a trash bin and a recycling bin,
Mhm.
but you can tell that the recycling bin has been commingled and it's not, would probably not meet like.
so the driver never actually gets out of the truck, that's how it's, set up. But if it's overflown, or the driver's been doing it so long here, he really knows the areas that actually commingle. So he knows to just dump all of those as trash. If it's commingled, we would have to dump it as trash. We can't put it in the recycler, it'd ruin the whole entire load.
But you guys do pretty significant amount of separation up at your MRF
Yes.
involved. I mean,
Yes.
Sana's visited,
Yeah.
I visited a couple of times.
Mhm.
I think it's a pretty impressive facility, and
It is.
regularly people will try to say, nothing's being recycled. And I've been to the MRF that probably has a $50 million replacement value, and I've seen. The army of people and the lasers and the robots.
Yeah, the
like,
robotics.
lots of stuff is being very high tech.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I realize that probably as a society largely, we could be doing more, but there's definitely lots of materials being recycled and more because of our single hauler law with county waste, because you guys have a more sophisticated MRF than is available in Ulster County.
Right.
But they can only recycle up at the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency fewer materials than you're able to.
Right.
Any other questions from our board? But that's exciting news about the truck, and yeah, we would definitely welcome
Yeah.
getting anyone from our community interested in taking a closer look.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if like the timing could line up for Earth Day.
Mhm.
Just because that's when everyone's actually out.
Yeah,
Oh,
What
I
day
thought
is
you were gonna suggest that it participate in the Pride Parade.
Oh, yeah, or Pride, touch a truck. Either or, they're both times when people are already out,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, the
there-
Earth
just
Day-
that there's so many people for New Paltz's Pride
Yeah,
Parade.
so-
It's a giant event.
If we can do Earth Day, that would be great. We have coloring books, we have Rusty the Raccoon for kids, and it actually explains, you know, the reason why we recycle and what you can recycle and they can color, so. Yeah, we can bring a lot of things to hand out as well.
Great.
Yeah.
we'll try to work
Do
on
we,
it.
do we have details on Earth Day this year?
I don't have that, I mean, it's always in April, but
no, because
it's around the
we just had
time.
to get through the spring forward event that was last night, and then now. They're turning towards Earth Day, so I don't know which weekend it is.
And you're thinking about the fair at Huguenot Street?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Cause that would be really cool, like last year we had like a UCAT bus there too, and that was just really cool, you know.
Mhm.
Cause like, especially because the kids wind up driving the adults over, and I'm just sitting there at my table, like, oh wow, everyone's learning about this like green bus, you know. I think that would be ideal, so I'll find out, I was already gonna, I already actually kind of started brainstorming with everybody today about Earth Day, so yeah.
Yeah, I think Earth Day would be, you know, because New Paltz has hosted Earth Day and the fair at Huguenot Street for years and years and years. So I mean, generally that's when events have, you know, great participation numbers. So that would probably be a lot better than if we did our own standalone, like, hey, it's Saturday, come look, and then, you know, you know, smaller number of people. So that would be fantastic if we could have you attend Earth Day. Right? Any other questions for us, like, you know, what do you recommend we do when someone is frustrated because like their doc was missed?
A lot of the times, you'll send an email to me and then I'll send the information. A lot of people just want to hear from us.
Yeah.
And we're more than happy to talk to them instead of them calling the call center. When you call the call center, that's kind of, they get a little frustrated. So he goes through there, they talk to a customer service representative, and then an email gets sent to us, and then we call them back, so. Possibly if we could just cut the middleman out, it would make them a little easier and happier.
Great.
So
Yeah,
you
no.
wanna give us the numbers so we can
Email us directly.
email it.
Yeah. If you guys email us directly, we.
Yeah, I have Jennifer's email, I don't have Dan's.
Yeah, I've been on a couple of it, Rose, Dan Rose.
I've been on, we have been on emails together, okay, great. Yeah, that, I probably the same threads with you then. I
Yes.
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So Dan Rose is your name, cool, perfect. All right, good, so that's super helpful that, you know, we have that existing line of communication.
Yeah.
And then this way we can. You know, escalate things and you guys can address it straight away, that's very helpful, we can relay that to our community.
Okay.
But thanks again for coming.
Yeah.
No, thanks for having me.
Are you both located locally?
In Montgomery, that's.
You're both in Montgomery.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Not town.
Maybe it's.
I know, the executive director of Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency, he and I have talked a couple of times about doing another field trip up to the Murph.
Mhm.
So maybe we can do that once it becomes warmer.
Great place.
Oh, for our student journalist, what's a MRF?
Materials Recovery Facility, is that right?
Yes,
Yep,
yep, that's correct.
It's just like a. Did you hear how I described it earlier? A MRF is basically a facility that's like. As large as like a city block that has robots and lasers and human beings who are separating single stream recycling. And then it gets you know, set up into individual bales. And then that's what's interesting too, is like. depending on the time of year and the market and the ebbs and flows of like materials markets worldwide, like aluminum always has a lot of value. Different plastics, depending on what color and like what grade, they have different values. Cardboard has nice value. You know, what I learned, which I thought was super fascinating, is that glass
Right.
is basically valueless.
Yes.
And it's used. Really, its only use is to probably like crush it and add it to like road materials.
Mhm.
So it's not being recycled, it's being reused. But then now we live in this world where we're probably more aware about the health risks of plastics.
Mhm.
So glass would probably be a safer choice health-wise for many of us,
But not for recycling.
but it's not great for recycling.
The number one contamination is styrofoam.
Oh, is that
In the
right?
recycle, yes,
I believe that's still.
It's so.
it still happens, yes. Mhm.
That's a part.
Yeah, it's hard for me,
Yeah.
We recently adopted a resolution, and as we've done many times in the past, just to update New York State's bottle bill. To move the, and I know you guys don't love it, cause you want the aluminum in your stream because it actually has nice value.
Mhm.
Whereas I think, like, it's generally considered better environmentally if we could move the deposit cost from 5 cents to 10 cents.
Mhm.
Because then more people will actually participate, and then that, you know, increases those recycling rates. But all right, well, thanks again, appreciate it, so we have that
And
line of
since we have that
communication.
date, we'll
Yeah,
let you know, because that's really simple. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you will.
Oh, so let's continue with our business agenda, so we heard from Jewel, they received bids regarding their RFP.
Bid from Jewel is on right now.
Okay, great,
Okay.
well then we can make it easier. Glenn. Provide.
Hi, can you hear me?
You know, provide us with a summary of our conversation from last. What you guys are recommending, and you know what the response was to the RFP.
Yes, you got it. I just have a couple slides here. I'll just do it in a few minutes because I know this is a little bit of a follow-up as opposed to a full report here. But we did receive bids back. As the mayor is describing, we got 2 bids back from both of the preferred bidders, Constellation and Direct Energy. Direct Energy is the current supplier. Constellation is a former supplier of the village as well. The pricing did come in just below the benchmarks that we established in the RFP and in the MOU that the village approved. However, you know, we're seeing, I'm going to show you, not that we do a deep dive here on markets, but I'll just show you a little bit just so people can kind of understand what's going on right now in the markets. There's quite a bit of volatility. Prices are up, and that's driving forward prices up too, because there's always that sort of knock-on ripple effect of the projection of demand that then drives, of course, the price. So we have made a recommendation for no award with this current pricing, even though we did come in a little bit below the benchmarks we set. We didn't get quite as low as we really would feel comfortable going forward with a new contract. However, and this is really the bulk of what I want to talk about and have the village consider tonight, is Direct has offered a conditional offer on a contract extension. So the current pricing, it hasn't necessarily performed particularly well in recent months against Central Hudson's rates, although Central Hudson's February rates are higher than the standard CCA pricing. We expect that to continue in March, but no guarantees there. We do, you know, what we are seeing is that 2025 pricing is likely to be higher than it was in 2024. But that same pricing that customers have access to now with the current contract is considerably better than what they could do otherwise, or what we could be able to get for a new contract. So Direct has indicated that they're willing to sort of bend a little bit in order to maintain the village and the other 11 municipalities that are in that contract as customers. So we do think that that's a really valuable opportunity. I'm going to just dig into that just for a minute here. You can see here, for instance, this is the price. Natural gas is highly correlated with wholesale electricity. This is really the markets that we use to look at what we expect electricity pricing to do. This is for July. So this would be the first month that the contract, the first month after the contract expires. This would be the first month that folks would be back on Central Hudson basic variable rate should there not be an extension. You can see what's happened to July pricing just in the last. So you can see sort of over the last year or so, it's been fairly stable. And then you see what happened really right after the election in November. And then even more sharply in the last few weeks since the tariffs on Canadian imports were announced. The reason why that's salient for this conversation is not only for natural gas, but for electricity itself. So New York imports quite a bit of Canadian hydro, especially from Quebec. So all of that, those tariffs would have an impact on a forward basis should they be implemented on wholesale electricity rates in New York State. So you see the markets really reacting pretty violently, frankly, to these inputs, these political inputs, as well as just sort of the typical drivers of gas price, like weather and demand and sort of regional demand and things like that. And this is a sort of zoom in of the last couple of weeks. So this is the 12th of February to the 26th through today of that same period, July 20, for a price for July this coming summer. And you can see what it's just been quite volatile. You see that sort of sharp increase right before the bids came in. It's been up, it's been down since there. It's a little bit down since then, but it's pretty similar to where it was. But it's just been a very jumpy market. And what that tends to mean, that volatility does tend to manifest itself in higher, in more risk, more price risk. And so when suppliers are giving us bids, it means that we're going to get higher bids than necessarily we would otherwise. All that to say that it makes for that volatility makes for a really serious consideration of a contract extension. Because again, customers, should there be no extension, customers would be back on Central Hudson basic service for the summer, and the summer tends to be a pretty high priced and volatile pricing period within the seasonally in the year. So what this extension offer would look like, it would maintain the current pricing for between 3 and 6 months. The precise term is really conditional. I want to be clear, and I emphasized this on the call with the mayor and other mayors and supervisors last week. But this is really conditional. This offer is really conditional on the market allowing for it. Frankly, if we were to try to get it today, we'd probably be on the wrong side of this. That's what Direct has advised me as of Friday of last week, that right now the extension offer is likely not to work financially. We're hopeful that over the next 3-4 weeks or so, that a market correction. We did get a favorable weather forecast yesterday, so the market has been a little bit down yesterday and today. If that trend continues over the next couple of weeks, we are likely to be able to capture that, but it is uncertain, and it is conditional on favorable market conditions over the next few weeks as municipalities are discussing this as you guys are tonight. Again, we are seeing, if you look at 2025, even more so than 2026, 2027, it's an interesting, what they call contango market, which is actually the 2025 forwards are higher than as you go out into future years, 27, 28, 29, they actually go low, a little bit lower. So it is likely to be a high priced year. As opposed to 2024, which is a fairly low priced year. All the more reason why price stability and consistency is particularly valuable for consumers, especially through the summer period. As I mentioned, right now, the current February rate for Central Hudson is just over 10.5 cents. That's higher. That's about 7% higher than what CCA customers are paying for a comparable product that is a non-renewable conventional product. So renewable always comes at a little bit of a premium, but apples to apples, CCA customers are saving this month relative to Central Hudson, and we do expect that trend to continue. No crystal ball, but we do expect that trend to continue through the spring and into the summer. So again, the extension would allow us to protect consumers in the volatile summer months, giving us a little bit of time to allow the market to sort of settle down a little bit. It's very reactive right at the moment. There's all these sorts of political inputs that are driving volatility. Hopefully what this would do would give us a little bit of time. We'd come back to the bargaining table, so to speak, and reissue the RFP around June, July timeframe. And hopefully by then, that means that we would, again, if this extension went, for instance, for 5 months, that would mean that the new contract would would renew in December. So that gives us a little bit of time again to watch that market, let it settle down a little bit, and while protecting consumers. So that's really the discussion for today. There is an extension agreement. We're still negotiating that a little bit between Direct and Jewel, but it's a very simple document. I should be able to share that within the next day or two. It's a very simple document, just simply amending the end date to the contract, to the existing ESA. It's very simple mechanically that way from a legal perspective. I believe the village meets again in 2 weeks. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so that would be a good time, so in the interim, it's good to have this discussion today to see if the board is supportive of the extension. We are recommending it. And then, and in the interim, we will have that amendment, extension amendment for you to review and pass by council and things like that, so that in 2 weeks, that's something that you could potentially vote on and approve. And that's
This is a review of the presentation that I heard the other day. I'm in support of your recommendation.
Yeah.
If you guys have any other thoughts, feelings?
I'm grateful that you came and presented all this to us so that not only we could understand it better, but the constituents can understand it better. And so I thank you very much. It's really interesting to see, when the prices became more volatile.
Yeah, that slide I think was really helpful, especially because we have a student journalist in the audience.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, and
Okay, so-
I'm happy for them to reach out. I'm happy to sort of give a little bit more context if they want to dig in to this. It really is fascinating to sort of see the intersection between, all these different inputs, politics, economy, of course, and how they impact the prices that we pay for these basic services on a daily and monthly basis.
Very good, thanks, Glenn. So we're gonna put this on our next agenda and we'll anticipate greenlighting your suggestions.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks all.
Okay,
Have a great night.
thanks. Next business agenda item is the,
So are we gonna vote to not award, and are we waiting until?
Was he suggesting we also vote to not award tonight?
Well, I mean, it says do not award our.
Yeah, right, those are just my notes,
Oh, okay.
what he was
I see what you're
representing
saying.
on.
Right, the extension we don't have to do until. 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, we'll vote on the extension per Glenn's recommendation to you.
That's what I thought, I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing something.
Okay,
Suzette, I just sent you this email. So, yeah,
okay, so the next item is, we have a tentative budget for fiscal year 26, so that starts June 1st, 2025, and that would go until May 31st, 2026. I move that we make the tentative budget public.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I move that we set a public hearing for the budget on March 26th.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
And then, just to provide the community with a bit of an update, so this is, our 10th year of not raising taxes as a local government. There was actually 1 year within those 10 years that we lowered taxes the tiniest bit. Not a super material amount, but, you know, we can easily say with a straight face that we're proud of the fact that we have not raised taxes or not raised the tax rate for 10 years. And I emphasize that it's the tax rate. I think what's interesting about New Paltz is like, if your assessed value has remained the same, your village tax bill would have been the same for that period. Sometimes folks get confused and they look at our budget and they say, but your expenses are greater than they were last year. And that's regularly the case, is that expenses keep going up, and it is our job as a fiduciary to make sure that we are matching expenses with revenues. Or some folks will say, but the property tax levy has gone up. And again, that's the piece of the budget that is paid for with property taxes, right? So there's two different large pieces that represent revenues within a budget. It's the property taxes and then all the non-property revenues. So in our case, that could be inspections from the building department, that can be mortgage recording tax, that can be cannabis sales tax, that can be sales tax that's shared with us per the Ulster County sales tax sharing agreement. I think what's fascinating and kind of like shines an additional light on how, for lack of a better word, curious our county's sales tax sharing agreement is. We have actually budgeted for fiscal year 26 $85,000 in cannabis sales tax, and we've budgeted $75,000 for sales tax from all other things being sold. Which I think is really interesting, and the reason that the cannabis sales tax is different and larger is because of the way New York State has decided to share sales tax with local government. So sales tax for cannabis in New York State is 13%, 9% goes to New York State, the other 4% gets split as follows: 1% to Ulster County, and then 3% to the local government. So because we're a village within a town, 1.5% goes to our village and the other 1.5% goes to our town. That is why we worked so hard to make sure that we ended up with one of the first licenses for cannabis in this region, in this village. Had it actually been established in the town outside the village, then the village of New Paltz would have received 0 and the town would have received all 3%. And the other thing that I think is really important to highlight is that we are not raising the tax rate, but we're also not overly dependent on the assessed values going up. So if you look at the assessed value for the entire village of New Paltz, which is for this budget, $321 million. So the entire assessed value for the village of New Paltz is $321 million. And that has only increased on an annualized basis, 0.68% per year, so less than 1% increase in terms of the overall assessed value. So the reason that it has gone up at all is not so much because people's homes have gone up in assessed value, but just because properties have been developed, and when there was less activity on the property, the assessed value was lighter than it was once a building was constructed, or the property is now valued differently. And that, I think, kind of covers it. I think what's interesting too about this tentative budget is that we actually have a historically low number for CHIPS, so that's the state aid we've received for highways, and the governor's initial budget for local government regarding CHIPS is very light. Maybe some lobbyists like New York Conference of Mayors and the New York Association of Towns and the members will be more successful and encourage the governor to include more CHIPS. So if that's the case, this budget will actually even be stronger than it is currently drafted.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
to that end, last year, same deal, Hochul was like, I don't know, she just doesn't get it with roads and infrastructure sometimes. And then our legislators went to bat and were able to restore those, what would have been historic cuts, so. It's good that we're planning for the worst and hoping for the best.
Right. So just to reemphasize, the tax rate for the village of New Paltz is 4.912 per $1,000 of assessed value. So if you have a $300,000 home, or a home that's assessed for $300,000, your village tax bill would be about $1,400 per year. And that would be, the familiar number for the last 10 years. That has not changed, that has not increased. And the other thing, which is a favorite topic of mine, because you guys have heard me ask this question every single time we've ever had a presentation from an auditor about how our budgets work, is like we're super focused on fund balance, and fund balance is basically your rainy day money. It's called unappropriated or unassigned monies that is available for rainy day type situations. And the target that we use is to have about 20 or 23% of our annual expenses in unassigned fund balance. So if our annual expenses are $4.3 million, then we would be looking to make sure that we maintain at least 22% of that amount as fund balance. So there's like a sweet spot in that, some other communities might say, we want to have 3 months of expenses as a fund balance. We use this number of, low 20-something% as a fund balance target. We intentionally don't have a fund balance policy, but we're hyper aware of it and always look to create a budget where we have enough money in this rainy day fund. We don't want to have too much money in this rainy day fund, because if a community were to have too much money in a rainy day fund, they're basically unnecessarily taxing its residents.
And we're not a bank.
We're not a bank. We don't want the responsibility of saving on your behalf. We actually believe that you probably know better what to do with your own money as opposed to giving it to the local government, so we could save it on your behalf. So that is a theme that we have talked about for years and years and years. I've included it in letters to the paper and on social media posts, and we discussed it at this table and with the auditors. That's kind of my 20,000-foot summary of this tentative budget. We can continue to talk about it, and then we will have our public hearing on March 26th. Any comments, thoughts from my colleagues?
Not now.
Perfect,
I'll
okay,
next
so you're right, so now that we have the tentative budget. You guys can take a closer look at it, the public can start chewing on it, and we welcome any questions about where we're spending money or how we are sourcing revenues. Okay, the next item has to,
Seconded that.
who seconded it?
Yeah. One of you guys seconded?
Oh, I seconded it.
Sorry.
Right, there were two actions, one to make the tentative budget public, and then the other one was to set the public hearing for March 26th. And then the next item is just, each year when we have unpaid village taxes, they will be, auctioned off at face value. And then individuals will purchase these, and the reason that we do this as a village is because we wanna be whole. We don't wanna have the liability hanging out there where we're hoping that property taxpayer pays us, so instead they are then responsible for paying the investor who might buy their tax sales or their tax sales certificate. However, we have two requests from a couple of properties that owe village taxes. But these are properties where they're about to be sold, so they've asked us to not include these two properties during the taxing certificate sale that is scheduled to take place and takes place the first Monday of March every single year. So I'm very comfortable with removing each of these. So the first property is 222 Main Street, and then the other property is 55 Main Street and 55 North Chestnut Street, to remove both of those from the sale, since that will be sorted out and the village will be repaid once those properties are sold.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that also. It's just like a timing thing,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah,
Okay, so that was your second?
yes,
All in
exactly.
favor?
Aye.
And then the next item is a resolution that Brad prepared. This relates to the change that we made, so we received ARPA money from Ulster County for a solar panel project. We actually have enough money from New York State via the NYSERDA program to install solar panels up at the fire station, so this was leftover money. It will still require act from us as a local government. So what we are looking to do is to put panels not on the roof, but right next to the building up at the water treatment plant property on Mountain Rest Road. So this is just a resolution authorizing this contract with Ulster County.
I second this resolution.
Any further discussion? All in
No.
favor?
Really glad we're doing it.
And
Thanks, guys.
Sana, I'll hand it over to you. You can describe the Hudson Valley Power Authority Act that you work with.
Okay, so we have a resolution in support of the Hudson Valley Tower Authority Act. Should I just read it? for everybody?
No, just summarize it.
Okay, so this resolution calls upon the New York State Legislature to pass and Governor Kathy Hochul to sign the Hudson Valley Power Authority Act. What it's doing is taking over Central Hudson and making it into a publicly owned power company, so that it will be green energy focused. It will be good paying jobs, and it will save ratepayers money and be fairly done, and it won't be beholden to any shareholders or anything like that. It'll just be publicly owned by people who are utilizing it.
Right, so this is just a resolution supporting
Supporting
that
correct.
this concept be pursued. So we're just saying we are in agreement that we would like to see this change.
Correct.
And another, just a big tenet of this proposed legislation that they're working on at the state level, is the correct and easy to understand billing.
Right, I'm sorry, he was telling me the short version, so I did too short.
Yeah, just because that's been such an ongoing problem, you know, because we've been dealing with this, you know, corporate lieutenant, you know, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many people have been overcharged and the bills have made no sense and all the other things that have been going on with Central Hudson, would like to take it over and make it public and have it be not.
Great. Okay,
I second the motion.
Yes, and
Or-
you made Sana made the motion, Alex seconded it, all in favor? Next business agenda item, I move that we go ahead and hire Sarah Vinci Vieira as the next design review board dash historic preservation commission secretary. Someone want to second the
Second.
motion? Any further discussion? I'm
Sarah.
very,
Sarah.
very pleased that we found a strong candidate, very pleased that the team from the Historic Preservation Commission is excited about Sarah stepping into this role. All in favor? Aye. And we have a draft contract. So our attorney has it as well as the consultant is looking at the draft. I just put this on this agenda. This is to just make sure it's on your radar screen. But basically, the idea is to have this consultant help us with the lead service line study that we're required to complete for the federal government. And you know, just details about, you know, how this could work and how this study could help us in terms of making sure that we have defensible data regarding where there may be lead in service lines throughout our water conveyance system. Now, I feel pretty confident that the only lead that is in our system are like on the water mains at the goosenecks that are particularly old, or they're also known as pigtails. So we're aggressively removing those, you know, even as we speak with the project on North Chestnut Street. We haven't found any lead in service line laterals, but you know, the reason that we have to do this is we want to be able to triple check and share as it's required by the EPA to make sure that our community is not subject to the risk of having pipes with lead. So I don't think we need to take an action right now, or I guess we could go ahead and move this proposed contract subject to any changes from the attorney and the consultant.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next item is the domain name change. The village domain name will be changing on March 3rd. All village email addresses will be .gov and the website will become .gov. Anyone that continues to search for .org or tries to email us at .org will automatically be redirected. Brad, thanks for making sure that we met this new New York State requirement. While all emails will be forwarded anywhere, an email address or the website is listed should be changed to say .gov on March 4th or shortly thereafter. So even though things will be directed, like if you have a signature line in your email, you should probably go ahead and update it to .gov just for uniformity, because that will be the you know, the way emails will work and the website will work most efficiently. I don't think we have to take any action. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's just been informative.
Perfect.
And a homework assignment,
And right, a to-do list.
like I've got it on it.
Okay, I'd like to move building claims.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bill's not here, so no planning board liaison update, and I don't have a ZBA. Any updated information to share regarding the ZBA, so.
I will land first time relations update firstly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we finally have, our handbook now is being reviewed finally by our municipal attorney. so that we'll be able to, once that's done, then I'm gonna just redesign it, so it's like a booklet. And then the Landlords and Relations Council will be having different events tabling to give out that information to the public. And we are plotting more know your rights trainings with the different college groups on campus, so stay tuned, that's all. I'm excited because the last update to the handbook was in 2021. And it's always like a big project because you need to have everybody's eyes on it, you know, like from all the different perspectives of like a landlord, a tenant, neutral parties, my eyeballs as well, and then have the attorney make sure it's all above board. So I'm excited that we're getting to the end of the latest version of it.
I forgot to make one announcement about resources and services available on the New Paltz Pride Coalition website. So if you are looking to figure out stuff about resources and services, check out the New Paltz Pride Coalition website.
Awesome. Motion to adjourn.
I second your motion. All in favor, aye.